Alright, what's up, guys? So, today I want to talk to you about Breaking Bad, one of the most epic TV shows there is. Two friends, a teacher, and a former student decide to sell meth in an RV, and a lot of cool stuff happens. Breaking Bad stars Bryan Cranston as Walter White slash Heisenberg. You may know him as the dad from Malcolm in the Middle. At least that's where I knew him from. Aaron Paul plays Jesse in this. And I really thought that Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul had great chemistry on this show. They played off each other really well, and they did a good job leading the show. People might look at it before watching this show. They might think it's just about two guys that sell drugs. But it's not just that. There are so many great character moments in Breaking Bad, and the storyline is just phenomenal. Especially the third season with Giancarlo Esposito as Gus Fring. I feel like the season that had Giancarlo Esposito as Gus Fring was probably one of the best seasons of Breaking Bad, because Gus Fring is an amazing villain. And after seeing Los Pollos Hermanos, I wanted to go eat fried chicken. Breaking Bad, in terms of a story, I think it was really great. Going from selling meth inside of an RV and doing these small deals to them escalating that and working with Gus Fring in this big lab. And, season 1 introduces us to Walter White, who's like this kind of nerdy teacher who decides to sell drugs because he's dying of cancer to take care of his family. Although all the way, as the show develops, we see Walter White become more aggressive. He kind of turns more into the full Heisenberg personality and embraces that. I feel like him and his wife had a lot of cool moments. The actress that plays Walter White's wife did an amazing job. I think one really hilarious scene in the show, well, not really hilarious, but one of my favorite scenes in Breaking Bad is the scene where Walter White's looking for the money under the house after Gus Fring threatens to kill his family and baby. And he's looking for the money. Where's the money? He's asking his wife, where's the money? And she's like, I gave it to Ted. And Walter White just starts laughing. That maniacal laugh he's doing, it reminds me a bit of the Joker. I thought that when that scene happened, like, Walter White would go crazy and like start killing people. He would just become like the Joker almost. So that's not what happens afterwards. But I thought he snapped. Where's the money? I gave it to Ted. And then he starts laughing. So I thought that scene was really cool. Anna Gunn, who plays Skylar White, and she did a good job as his wife. Giancarlo Esposito as Gus Fring stole the show. Every scene he's in, the tension was just elevated, and he made for a great villain. And it was nice to see him. I really liked his performance. Some other cast members, you have the actor who plays Walter White's son, and there's a lot of scenes of him. I know mostly in the show it's just him talking like in the kitchen, or it's him having breakfast. But I think he did a good job. You have Dean Norris, who plays Hank Schrader, and he's kind of this cool cop at the start of the show who pokes a little fun at Walt. Isn't until I'd say maybe the last 2 seasons where the tension elevates. And here's a spoiler, please don't watch this if you haven't seen the show. But Dean Norris, Hank finds out that Walter White is Heisenberg, and I think finally when he finds out, there's so much tension and just everything has been elevated. Like, the show is just on edge from there. And then when Hank and Walter meet in that scene at the garage, I think it was pretty intense to see the two of them. Like, they know who they are. I will admit, though, Hank's death in the show was pretty sad because he's been with us since season 1. Skylar's sister, Marie Schrader, who's played by Betsy Brandt, I think she did a really good job playing the sister role, and she's very nice to Walter White, his wife, Walter and Skylar's son. as well as the baby. I love the scene where she's like, "Oh, that's the cutest baby. I would like to babysit all the time." Mike is another character who he's pretty badass in this show. He's not one for talking much or smiling much, but he's like the badass henchman or hitman, whatever you want to call him. I kind of think of him as like the guy from, you ever watch the movie Goldfinger? There's like that henchman guy, or like Batista from Spectre. So Mike kind of reminds me of that. Yeah, we'll go with that. Gus Fring's that scene is pretty epic when they go into the retirement home and he approaches the man and you hear this ding 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 ding, and then all of a sudden you hear Giancarlo Esposito just scream out in aggression and horror, and the bomb goes off, and you see after that, now the camera kind of pans and we see Gus step out after the explosion, and he fixes his tie and suit, and then the camera slowly pans around his face and we see half his face has burned off, kind of like Two-Face. But that scene was pretty epic, and I think that was one of the most memorable moments in the show. The show has a lot of great moments in it. Breaking Bad is an amazing piece of television, and I think if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, it's worth a watch. It's not just about two guys selling drugs. It's about a man who is dying of cancer, and he wants to leave behind wealth for his family, to pay their bills, to go to college. It's a great story. There's family in there, there's action, there's drama, there's a lot of suspense. Great villains and heroes. Breaking Bad is a great show. And those of you that have seen it, you know Breaking Bad is amazing. And those of you that haven't seen Breaking Bad, I advise you to watch the show. Everybody gives a great performance. Bryan Cranston as Walter White gives an amazing performance. And his Walter White / Heisenberg performance is pretty good. Jesse Pinkman is played by Aaron Paul, who is Walter White's partner in making drugs. But Jesse has a lot of cool character moments, and you know, the whole plot with Brock in season 4, I think it kind of showed that Walter White's willing to go the extra mile. I will admit that I didn't see that coming. But I think Jesse Pinkman, you know, he's just struggling through life. He's going through his own thing. And Walter White shows up and the two of them are making big money. So I feel like Walter White, Jesse Pinkman, and Gus Fring are some of the standouts in this show. So yeah, guys, I like Breaking Bad. I hope you liked it too. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.